Hey guys, LQ here with the LQ Review, and I'm here with my review of the most recent episode of The Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone series, Jordan Peele's CBS All Access series, has just been phenomenal so far. So this will be my review of episode 7. Episode 7 titled Not All Men. This stars This stars Taissa Farmiga, Vera Farmiga's sister, as the lead character, and Ike Barinholtz has a nice little role in this. Taissa Farmiga, she was in American Horror Story. She played in The Nun, one of the Conjuring movies, and Ike Barinholtz, of course, he's been in a lot of stuff. But he was the prison guard in Suicide Squad. So for some reason, I always think of him in that role, even though he's been in a lot of other stuff. Very prevalent in the comedy world. But for some reason, like I said, I think of Suicide Squad. But anyways, this episode of The Twilight Zone, Not All Men, was a very strong entry into the Twilight Zone season. So Tessa Farmiga, she plays a workaholic. She's all about her work, all about her job, all about advancing her career. And she ends up going on a date with one of her superiors. And during the course of the day, red meteors fall from the sky. And they start affecting the men negatively. To say it affects the men negatively is an understatement. It transforms them. It transforms them into violent sociopath killers. Their eyes turn red, their faces become distorted. They seem to take pleasure, and not just pleasure, killing and violence actually seems to give them relief. And this is something that only affects men. So the men are going nuts. The men are going wild. The men are going primal. And it's because of the meteor that has fallen. They never really go as far to say like it's an alien attack or it's an alien being or anything like that. We just know that it's the meteor that's causing it. And Taissa Farmiga and her friends, they're trying to navigate. Well, first of all, she's on this date with her boss, and her boss gets very violent, and she's able to escape. And she actually blames herself for leading him on. She doesn't realize that this is going to be happening to all men. In just a few hours, she's going to be running from her life from all men, even men that she trusted. But the show becomes one where her and her friends are trying to navigate this world where all men are becoming rage monsters. And how is she going to handle, how are they going to survive that kind of a world? This episode had a lot of tension, especially the scene involving Ike Barinholtz, where Taissa Farmiga and Ike Barinholtz's wife, they're across the table from him. He has just murdered a guy in their yard, and he has a knife in his hand, and they're across the table, and they're trying their best not to enrage him, not to provoke him. This is a very tense scene. This is a very scary scene. This scene has a lot of tangible fear in it. That's one of those things I like to look at in suspense movies. Is there tangible fears, their tangible suspense? Can you almost reach out and touch it? And this episode certainly has that tangible fear, especially in that scene. But we actually find ourselves in a place where they are coming to some resolution. They're figuring out what's going on. And there's some decisions made by Jordan Peele in this episode, some creative decisions that I respect, but they have me scratching my head a little bit. Like, I don't understand. I'm okay with them. I don't mind the decisions being made. I just don't necessarily understand what the next step is. So we have a scene where a homosexual young man is about ready to turn. He's been in contact with the meteor. He's about ready to turn into a rage monster, and he's able to suppress it. And they end up saying that he made the choice. He made the choice to not turn into a rage monster, and that's really what it comes down to. Is that our nature is to be violent. So almost all the time we're going to choose that violence. So if we're given the choice between embracing violence and embracing pacifism, we're going to choose violence. And I understand that, and there's some validity to that. I wouldn't say that's completely valid, but there's certainly some validity to that. And then you've got this young man who happens to be homosexual. He's able to suppress it and not turn into a rage monster. So here's my issue with it. I don't care that he was able to suppress it. That's fine. I don't care that they've set up a storyline where most men choose primal rage over being a pacifist or being not wanting violence. I don't mind any of that. I don't even mind that the person that was able to suppress it was a homosexual. My question is, was that the point? Because they didn't make it clear. They didn't make it clear that did he happen to be homosexual, or was the point of it that he was homosexual? If they did make that clear, then I missed it. I didn't pick up on it. So my question is, if that was the point of it, are they saying that only homosexual men are able to suppress this, or is this something that all men can suppress if they just choose to suppress it? And I truthfully don't care either way. I just felt like that part wasn't explained well enough, for me, anyways. And maybe it's possible that you picked up on something I missed, and you can fill me in the comments down below what I missed. But that whole part of it didn't necessarily make a lot of. I mean, it made sense. Okay, it made sense. It just I didn't know exactly where they were going with it. But this was certainly one of my favorite episodes of The Twilight Zone. If you're not watching, hop on, because this is good stuff. This is good stuff. And, it's probably good that this episode left me scratching my head a little bit, because that's what a lot of great anthology series do, is they leave some open-ended stories, some open-ended threads that make you scratch your head and wonder what was that all about? What is the next step going to be? How do I interpret that? And to be quite honest with you, I don't really know how I interpret it. It's fascinating, though. It's fascinating, and there's no doubt that it's good storytelling, and it's relevant storytelling. So it's great. I love it. Just I'd like to see a little bit. I wish that I had a little clearer picture on what they were saying. I don't want them to really change anything. I just wish that maybe I had a clearer picture on what it was. But that's okay. That's okay. I still loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. And it was a nice, suspenseful episode that kept me on my toes, kept me glued in, kept me dialed in. And that's what you want in a horror anthology series like this. So overall, another strong episode and a strong season. What do you think of this episode of The Twilight Zone? Episode 7, Not All Men. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for being here at the OQ Review, where we talk about all the nerdy, all of the geeky stuff that we love to talk about. And until next time, we'll see you later.